And welcome back, family, to another installment of Metaphysics on Your Mind. What we're doing with this particular installment, it's actually going to be the last installment, at least in what we call, as you saw, the title is Round One Conclusion. All the videos that we've done up to this point, up to this particular one here, we're grouping in what we call Round One. And Round One, as you can see on the series description, on the YouTube page, it says that it's a series of presentations exploring hidden meanings of the Bible and the practice of meditation. So that's what it's been up to this point. And then what we're going to do is we're going to shift, following this video, into what we call Round Two, which will be another series of episodes or installments, but we're going to broaden the scope. We're going to change the scope a little bit. So leaving the primary focus on the hidden meanings of the Bible and the practice of meditation, we're going to go to a broader context. It's going to be more, well, I don't want to say what the title is going to be just yet, but it'll be a departure from the approach that we've had up to this point. And then those would be, like I said, all subsequent videos to this one, which would begin, maybe the first week of October. They'll be part of this Round Two. I will say that it will have more to do with modern times and current events, just say metaphysics and so on and so forth in the context of now, and in the context of the mystery that is you and me. Okay, just kind of to do it kind of broadly. It's been great to do the exploration up to this point. Hopefully some people have gotten, something out of this, sharing information, and certainly Tony and I have gotten a lot out of just the presentation of this material and the feedback that we've gotten and the response that we've gotten from you. It's, it warms our heart. It's fantastic. There are some things that, we want to tweak and play with, because, you always want to try to be, if you can, you want to try to do things better, more efficiently, or more expressively, or whatever, right? There's always some kind of an adjective that you're looking for. But the goal is the same, that we live in a world bifurcated or split between the physical, that which we can perceive through the five senses, and then the metaphysical, that which kind of operates behind the veil, away from the five senses. That remains the same. The approach will be a little bit different. And, what we can do is we'll be able to take concepts that we've been able to explore, in Round One, because this board we're probably not going to use as often. We're going to substitute, other visuals, shall we say. But from time to time, we can pull these, this back up, because I, think it's a fairly efficient at, trying to come up with something that we could work off of, that would be, with the constant reference points of the cosmos, the earth, the human, so on and so forth. But we can take these concepts that we picked up, you know, the study of symbolism, you know, astrotheology, mythology, psychology, linguistics, intuition, numerology. Intuition being particularly important because intuition, as we know, relates to the third eye. That's the chakra, the sixth chakra. So we definitely want to take that forward with us, right? Because that's how we're going to see behind the veil, the word behind the words. As we've learned, you can look at these ancient writings on a literal level if you want, but there are, again, levels of meaning. And we propose that the most important level of meaning is within you, okay? How it applies and how it works for you or doesn't. That's really all that's important to the individual soul, shall we say, for its growth and edification. But we'll still be able to explore similar things. We'll come back and do stuff, you know, again, out of the Bible and other ancient books, but we're just gonna broaden it out a little bit. And, you know, again, I think for some people, it probably was a departure to even discuss astrology in the same context as the Bible. And I think, as has been shown, that there is a correlation between the two. All it asks is that you use what you've been given, your intuition, where you can intuit synchronicities and coincidences with a purpose that tells the story behind the story, right? But it's through your perception. So I don't know. I think that this gives us a decent basis, or especially for those who may not have had as much of a background, you know, in astrology or symbolism and numerology. Again, it's not asking that you take everything that somebody puts in front of you as gospel, right? But you have the obligation, really, to yourself to decide if you're going to go on the journey to find your own truth or not, right? That's what we're all trying to do. Is where are we and who are we in the scheme of the journey that we're on? Because we're all on the journey. So again, we'll keep some of the themes: theater of mind, University of Earth, because that's what we all are, right? We're fellow students. See, the University of Earth, as long as you're in the physical body, you don't graduate, right? All there is levels of proficiency, okay? None of us graduates if you're in the physical. Levels of proficiency is the best that we can hope for. And we have varying degrees of proficiency in varying subjects and areas of life, right? We're looking for that balance. We're looking for that understanding, overstanding, and understanding of the nuances of this thing called being, right? Whatever that is, consciousness. So, you know, we got something to play with as we move forward. And we're just going to broaden it out a little bit. I thought that it would be kind of cool. There's I'm sure many of you have heard, at least heard of, there's a play, famous play, called Hamlet, right? And Hamlet is one of the more famous plays of personality, shall we say, that is attributed to be the author of this play, William Shakespeare, some 400 years ago, I believe, something like that. But the play of Hamlet, for those who maybe don't know, the play is about a character named Hamlet who is a prince, and it's set in Denmark, again, in, I guess you could say, maybe the 1500s or something like that. It's set in Denmark, and Hamlet has a dilemma. And I'm going to read a little bit of a famous soliloquy. I think it's from the third act of Hamlet. And, you know, again, soliloquy is just you speaking out loud to yourself, speaking your thoughts out loud. It could be with no one around, or it could be with people around and you don't care. But this is just a section of that soliloquy by Hamlet. And not to get too much into the story, but basically what the gist of it is that Hamlet's father, the king, it turns out he was murdered by Hamlet's uncle, who wanted to become king and then to marry Hamlet's father's widow, Hamlet's mother. So just to kind of summarize it really quick, the father is, the king is murdered. Of course, it's not articulated initially that he was murdered, was killed, but Hamlet discovers it from a ghost, a scene in which the ghost is the ghost of his father, the king. And the ghost tells Hamlet what the real deal is, what happened, that he was murdered basically by his brother, right? So that his brother could get the throne and get his wife. And that Hamlet should seek revenge. So again, you can check it out, you can read the play or whatever, it's quite well known. But just let's read a little bit of the soliloquy from I think it's Act 3, the beginning of Act 3. And you've heard at least a couple of these lines. And I'm not an actor, so I'm just going to read it. I'm sure there are tens of thousands of trained thespians and actors out there that know this by heart, right? To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing in them, to die, to sleep no more, and by a sleep to say we end the heartache and the thousand natural shocks the flesh is heir to. 'Tis a consummation devoutly to be wished, to die, to sleep perchance to dream. Ah, there's the rub. For in that sleep of death, what dreams may come. So that's just a portion of that soliloquy. But for in that sleep of death, what dreams may come. So basically what's going on is Hamlet is agonizing over what many people, or a number of people, have had to deal with. How the slings and arrows of life, the troubles of life, the travails, we read it in Ecclesiastes, the travails of life can get you to the point where you just feel like, hey, I want to give it up. So he's basically saying to be or not to be. In other words, to live or to die. He's considering, would it not be better to just end it? In other words, commit suicide, than to deal with the situation, the dilemma that he finds himself in, whereby his father is killed by his uncle, and his mother is involved with it. She's a co-conspirator. So his mother and his father's brother has conspired against his father. And they don't know that he knows, because the ghost of his father told him and told him to seek revenge. So he's in that, I guess you'd say, an existential dilemma. Hey, man, the situation I'm in, forget about it, right? I can't deal. How do you move forward in life when you feel you're cornered? You know, you're kind of trapped, existentially speaking, from a psychological standpoint, maybe from an economic standpoint, maybe from a familial or family relationship standpoint. You can become besieged, right? We've all been there. So that's what all this is about. It's the dilemma that Hamlet is, saying out loud to himself is, hey man, what's it all about? It just seems like one bump in the road after another. But of course, that's about, our perception and our perspective. So we won't get into, how it winds out. You can check it out yourself if you haven't already. But it's an existential dilemma. How do we deal with what we talked about was the ebb and flow of life, especially when that wheel of fortune seems to be for us on the downside. But as we know from, the old saying, and this too shall pass, at some point the wheel spins, right? And the last thing I would do is read from, this would be perhaps what could be conveyed to Hamlet with the dilemma that he finds himself in. If you were to speak some words, this is from the book of Psalms. This is actually Psalm 91:1. It's just this one verse. This is probably what he could be told, could be a way or an avenue that he could move forward. He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So again, to speak, as we know within our inner or symbological, terms, this is the secret place, as we've read in other scriptures. He made darkness his secret place. The secret place is the higher mind, is the higher consciousness, right? Which we can only get to when we're willing to release and surrender and strip ourselves naked, right? Quote unquote, symbolically of the flesh. We go into the secret place. Where is that secret place? The Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So in the higher mind, in the higher consciousness, your higher self, or the Most High or God or whatever, wherever you want to say, the Garden of Eden, that's the place, right? Where you reconnect to the essence of yourself. And it says that you shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So in other words, once you can separate yourself from the condition that you might find yourself in, from the circumstances, from, the negative emotions, from the bad memories or from the disappointments of life, if you can separate from that, and you can go back into the garden from whence you came, okay, naked and unadorned, and you can go back in there, you can reconnect with the Most High, which is, again, your higher self. In effect, you reconnect, and then you begin to put things into a perspective of understanding. That's probably what I would say that Hamlet, in effect, is somewhat doing, in a way, in the soliloquy. is going within himself, and he's wrestling with this existential question of, I'm here. I'm not quite sure why I'm here or what I'm doing here. The question is do I live it out? Do I play it out? Or do I fold?
Oh yeah. Ooh, yeah. To be of light and exercise your right to strive, not merely existing by the fringe of fashion. To reconnect with life as you really want to live, and turn down the volume on all their fear. Yeah. To be or not what it is, to be or not is the quiz. So hey, hey, now what you say, to be in league with ancestors of ancient times, and follow through on determined deathbed dreams. To be aware of what was and status quo, so you can identify as they break on down, yeah. To be or not what it is, to be or not is the quiz. So hey, now what you say. Confusion is where I've been standing. Clear direction I've been demanding. My hidden truths just hit the landing. Yeah, it's my life I'll be commanding. To be or not what it is, is the quiz. Oh, the quiz. So hey, you say. Oh yeah. Now what do you say? Come on, T, bring it, T. Oh, the quiz now. Yeah. Yeah. To be or not what it is, to be or not what it is, yeah, is the quiz. Yeah. So hey, yeah. What you say.